I want to try something with you that may seem a little tricky at first, but it really isn't at all. Just seeing how well you've been working and how wonderful you all are, I'm sure that you can handle this. So what I've asked you to complete is 4 different boxes where your letters are gradually getting thicker and thicker to kind of give that appearance of value, which means lightness and darkness and shading, right? So potentially this would be lighter, and as the letters get thicker, it gives that idea of it being darker in our image, right? So we did this yesterday, and so you should end up with something like this, but probably better. What I want to show you is I want to show you how to take that and actually end up coloring it on the computer, because ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to take our hand-drawn image that we're going to do and we're going to color it in the computer, and look how cool that looks. So there's a few steps in this, but it's not hard at all. You just have to get used to it, so you're going to be a pro in no time. So just to remind you, we are in the creative process unit, and we're on our first major project, the typography portrait. There's a couple links here for the technical exercise part 2. There's one, it's called vectorization.org and Klecky.com. So I'm going to go to vectorization.org, so I have it opened already. And while I'm uploading this, I'm going to explain to you how this works. So first thing is that you need to take a photo, obviously, of your piece. Now you can take a picture of the whole thing like I have done. And of course, when you take a picture, you know to upload it onto your Google Drive app, so it's on your Chromebook. Now, another option is, if you want, you can take a picture of each box individually, which works really nice as well. If you are up for it, I would go for that. So it's up to you. Either works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now convert this from a JPEG file to an SVG file. And I'm going to explain to you why in a second, because this takes a minute for actually to upload. So I'm going to choose my file, and oh, here it is. Okay. I'm going to open, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. It's going to change it then from a JPEG to an SVG. So, and the reason why I'm doing this, a JPEG file, if I zoomed in a whole bunch on a JPEG file, it actually becomes pixelated. And if you know what I mean by pixelated, all the edges sort of become little squares and it becomes a bit blurry. And I don't want that blurriness when I'm painting stuff in. What I want to do is I want it to be an SVG or like a vector file. As you can see, what it does, it only does black and white, but look at how crisp and clear this image is. So it makes it just really nice, crisp and clear, which is great for me now to go on the computer and paint. It gets rid of any of that pixelization. It will be slightly pixelated because working on Chromebooks and not really, high quality laptops, but much more clear, much more smoother. And another reason, which is hard to see here, is all the white areas are actually going to be transparent. And that's going to be really important when we actually start coloring some stuff in. Okay, so go ahead and convert it. Now, sometimes I've found that I've gone to convert it and then it said it didn't work, and then try again. I just go back and try again and it will work. I want to download this by just clicking this button because I want the SVG file. So I do that and it downloads. Perfect. For you, it will automatically download in your Google Drive. Next, I want to go to this website, and the link is here. It's called Klecky.com. And if any of you have had the opportunity to use Photoshop before, it's like the online free version to Photoshop, and it's much simpler. So I'm going to actually upload my image. Now, so I'm uploading the SVG file. Now I got to find it. Okay, here's what it looks like on my computer. On Google Drive, it's actually just going to be a black square. So it won't be able to see the image, but it doesn't mean it isn't there. So download the SVG file or upload it. We're going to open it. Okay, now this is going to give me some options. Well, first of all, you see how there's these squares. That means what I was talking about, how the white parts are actually transparent. I want it as a layer, not an image, and I'll show you why in a second. And if it's sideways, it's super easy. You can just do this. So at this point, if you didn't take pictures of each of them individually, what you could do is you could just center it so each one is individual if you wanted to. Otherwise, it's not a big deal to do them all together, or of course you can just upload each one individually. So I'm just going to kind of place it there. It's ready to go. Okie dokie. Oh, I don't know why that button keeps going. Okay, so let me just show you how this works. So first of all, when I was talking about layers, this is layer button here. if I hit layers, this is the layer here, which my actual image is, and then there's a layer underneath. Okay, so that's where you find the layers, and I'll come back to that. Now there's a couple tools here. I have, I'm going to hit brush. I have a paintbrush tool, and this is where I can pick a color. So I'm going to pick red, and say I'm going to paint something. Okay, so it's super easy to paint. If I don't like that and I make a mistake, I hit Control and Z, and that's like the undo. Or else, of course, there's the undo button and the redo button right beside it. Now, I can actually change the size of my paintbrush if I wanted to, right? Control Z, of course, change the color. They do have different types of paintbrushes here. You might use that another time, but probably not today. They're kind of limited, but at least we have there. Opacity is a see-throughness, but we don't need to change that now. What I want to show you is, because we have layers, if I painted right now, I would, because I'm on the layer underneath it, if I hit layers, I'm actually, what's selected is the layer underneath it, which means that when I paint, it's going to go underneath what's black, which is kind of cool, because otherwise it's really hard to paint like right in those areas. I'm going to Control Z that. And just to show you, if I hit layers and actually hit the layer where my drawing is, if I paint it, it would be paint right over top. Okay, so that's why we want layers. So, however, if I wanted to go in here and I wanted to paint everything, it would take forever. So what they have on this, which is a great tool, if I do the drop down menu, is a paint bucket tool. So what that means is if I have a paint bucket, I feel like doing a light blue. So if I have a paint bucket tool, any enclosed area, it will paint all the one color. So for it to work, I have to make sure that I'm on the layer where my image is. If I hit on the layer underneath, it's going to paint the whole thing, right? So Control Z. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the layer where my image is. Here's my fill, and pick my color. So for example, inside of the R, it's going to fill that whole area. Inside of my box, so if I've done it properly, if I click it, it'll just paint all that area there, everything that's enclosed in that box. And then of course I'm going to have to kind of go in to these areas. Now it's really hard for me to get in there. Say by accident I hit that instead, Control Z. But what I can do is, you can't see what I'm doing, to zoom in and zoom out and tilt it, and using my 2 fingers and I'm pinching it. So it's super fast and super easy to use. And there we go. Another way to zoom in and zoom out is right here, or I can use a hand tool to kind of move stuff around. Okay, but I like using my hands. All right, so cool, I've done the background, but now I can do something with the letters. I don't know, let's pick, I feel bright today. Okay, so if I use a paint bucket tool, anything it's connected, so you can see the black parts was all connected to the S, it was connected to the outside. If I click on all those letters, there we go. So I've totally colored that. Isn't that cool? So really what I want to do is I want to do that with each one of my boxes, but I'm going to just experiment with the different color combinations, right? So you're going to go through better than what I'm doing right now. Pick whatever color combinations you think you like. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. That's kind of gross. Anyway, make sure that you get all the little parts and play around with it and do some really neat stuff. Now, this first one here, this one's not too bad. I do find though that sometimes, because the lines are so thin, I find it sometimes it's really difficult for me to paint. Now, if you notice right here, in this area here, the white is kind of connected to the white. So I want to show you what happens. When I click the paint bucket tool, it does the whole thing. And the reason why, Control Z, is this box isn't enclosed. So what I could do, really easy fix, if you know where it is I could take the paintbrush tool, pick black, let's try and make it small, and try to enclose that. I didn't do a very good job. Okay, let's try it now. I'm going to go back to the paint bucket tool. Let's try if that fixed it. Hey, it did. See, so if you're finding that, if you're getting frustrated, then you can do that. And then you're going to go ahead and color in that one. Now, one thing that I did notice though, on the first one that I did, these letters here that I'm clicking and filling in, I did super thin on my first one. And then I found because they're so small, it was really hard for me to color in. So if you're finding it frustrating for the first one, totally don't stress out. Okay, and then there we go. So anyway, you're going to do that, each of them for the 4 ones. This one here, if you are having any problems at all about using the paint bucket tool and it filling in, remember that that's when this paintbrush tool is useful, and you can always hit layers. Make sure you're on the layer underneath. If you find it easier, I gotta make my brush bigger. You can just like paint in, instead of using the paint bucket tool. If you can, if you want to do this, if you're getting frustrated and the paint bucket tool is not working and you don't know why, then you can do this. Okay, it should be fine. Really, the paint bucket tool is probably the easiest. When I am done, I'm going to hit the save button, and that saves it. I actually encourage you to, like, as you're going, just to save your progress, because it is like a program that's online and you never know if it's going to crash. So once I start kind of get going and I've done a lot of work, I just save it every once in a while. Now, if you have the right kind of laptop, and I think you got the ones that work with this, is I think a pencil actually works as a stylus. So I'm just using my mouse, but I think a stylus actually would work on it if you want to just go ahead and use a stylus and really do the digital art. So that's all ready to go. Now, once you're done that, so again, you can either do this all together as one, or maybe that you've saved each one individually. It's totally up to you. But I want to show you what we're going to do next is, yes, our digital portfolio. What I did is I did each one individually, and that way I was able to do something kind of cool like a slideshow in my digital portfolio, and I want to show you quickly how to do that. Now, if you didn't do everything individually, what you could do is I have something called a snipping tool. You can, on your Chromebook, you have something like, I can save each one individually. On your Chromebook, you can actually do the same thing by using this link here in case you forget. It reminds you how to save images on the Chromebook, but you hit Control Shift and the switch key, and then you can actually highlight around each box and save each one individually. So that's another way to easily do it. Okay. All right. I just want to show you how to do a slideshow. Because of course, if you see on my sample digital portfolio, I have a title here, Typographic Portrait. Technical practice. I have questions here for you, and then I've done like a little slideshow here of my 4 different versions. So let me show you, like, super fast, super easy, how we do this one. You're going to go on your digital portfolio. Let me show you my demo page because there we go. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to add a text box, and it's going to be a title, and we're doing our typographic. Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, is, of course, we're going to do our idea board next, but I have a technical practice box, and beside it I have the idea board. So I want something with 2 different things on it, so I'm going to pick this one. Perfect. So this is going to be my technical exercise, right? This is going to be my idea board. I'm going to answer questions later. Okay, I will upload pictures later. If you did yours all as one image and you want to upload it like this, then of course all you do is you just hit the plus sign to add your image and you upload that whole thing. If you want to do the slideshow like I was showing you, you do this. If there is, right here it says image carousel. So I'm going to tap on that. What I need to do is I need to add the images first. So we'll upload an image. It only lets you do one at a time. I don't know, let's find some images. Okay, I'm just going to do random images. Do this one. So pick your 4 images that you want. You have to upload at least 2 for this to work in case you want to do this in the future. Oh, there they are. Anyway, so I'm just uploading random images. Okay, so I'm just going to do the 2 for now. I'm going to put insert. Okay, so there's my slideshow. But I don't want it there. I want it right here. So I'm going to click on this box, not the plus button, but the box. So only the box is highlighted, not any of this. I'm going to hit trash can to get rid of it. Okay, and now I'm going to take this image carousel and I'm going to slide it because I want it there. Okay, so when I hit publish, I'll show you what it looks like when it's published. Just double check. You've got published site. There you go. It's all there. Okay, so you're going to make sure that you answer your question